my question, Randy.
Oh,
if Friday the 13th are really potentially bad, horrible days,
right.
Are Monday the 13th really freaking fantastic?
I think you know what? It's what you want it to be.
There you go.
So if you can sleep till noon, your day's half over and you only have to endure half of the day. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, well, you didn't let me sleep till noon. You got me up early.
No, we're up and rolling. Hey, Randy Wooden with Goodwill Industries of Northwest North Carolina, director of the Professional Center right here in Winston-Salem. A little known secret, I guess. We've been at it now for about 10 years. Actually, I just celebrated my 10th year with Goodwill. So they hired me to start the program, still kicking and still doing what we do. We're happy to help. We're free. So that's a good thing. You can find me on LinkedIn or reach out through Goodwill's website. There went many ways to find me, but a couple of times a week, I get up with my good buddy, Teddy Burriss. And we've been doing this now for a few years. Get together on Wednesdays for the big show, but also on Monday to kick around a few ideas and tips and stories and talk a little bit about our guests coming up. So, Teddy, why don't you take it away from here, and then I'll dive into some of the fun factoids from this date in history.
Yeah, you spent what? Hopefully you spent more than 5 minutes on research this week.
Oh my God, I'm going to get a raise from you or what?
Hey, let's move on. Let's move on.
Right,
those who have never met me.
Hey, just as a disclaimer, neither of us are paid for this thing. I always joke about working for Teddy, but we work together. So don't think Teddy pays me and I'm harping for a raise.
you and me both, buddy.
I need a better makeup crew, though. Maybe you can work on that. I got to do a little work. There's got work to be done here.
I know a lady named Estee. I'll call Estee Lauder and get her to come over to see you. Hey, for those who have never met me, I'm Teddy. I'm a LinkedIn strategist. I'm a Google Workplace consultant and trainer. Our company, Burriss Consulting, we help people use LinkedIn and as a business tool. We help people use Google Workplace in much more efficient, collaborative ways. Mm-hmm. We love doing workshops and seminars and training and coaching. And heck, I'm going to hire an airplane one day to fly over everybody's head and say, use LinkedIn. It's a business tool, but you never know how I'm going to show up and teach people how to do this stuff. But every week, again, Randy and I get together, and we come out and play, and we try to help. And so we start with this promo show. And to lead off the show, Randy is going to tell us the research he did.
I am, but because I can, I'm also going to put in a shameless plug for my Sunday column in the Winston-Salem Journal. Because you mentioned LinkedIn on the 5th. So last 8 days ago. All right. That was part 1. And that was about why it's important to use LinkedIn and beyond LinkedIn, even if you're not an active job hunter. So there's that. And then on the 19th, 2 weeks later. All right. So now a week from, it's actually going to be this coming Sunday, right? 6 days from now.
Sunday.
Yep. Part 2 is going to be how to get the most out of your experience. And so some general guidelines and tips and so forth. So Teddy, you'll appreciate that. And actually, I used one of your advice factoids in my column on the 5th. So you have to read the column.
Buy low, sell high. And if you don't make enough money, get a bigger truck.
Bigger truck. Hey, let's move on to birthdays. No trivia I'm not going to go into trivia this time around. I didn't really see any good, juicy trivia on people born or passed away on this date, but a couple of famous folks born on this date. Martha Washington, George Washington's wife, 1731, she was born. And football fans will know who the Galloping Ghost is. Now, wasn't it a Galloping Gourmet on TV in the 70s or 80s? It wasn't that guy.
Yeah.
The Galloping Ghost, Red Grange, famous college and professional football player, born in this state in 1903. A couple of folks passed away. Benny Goodman passed away on this date in 1986. Remember him, the band? Yep. And Tim Russert, NBC's Meet the Press, passed away. He was only, I think, 58, 59, something like that. He died in 2008. That seems like yesterday I saw him on TV.
Yeah.
But then again, yesterday I had black and white TV and everything, whatever. Events on this date. This one I was kind of debating whether to throw in here, but so I'll throw it in and, don't sue us if we're wrong here. But I was reading where the longest recorded attack of hiccups. You've ever had the hiccups?
I've had them, man. Yeah.
I'd just like to have them for 68 years in a row, all the time.
Well, you know what that would do for you, Randy? That would take my 16 pack that I have down here and make it really, really muscular.
Yeah. You're probably thin as a rail too, because how are you going to eat and sleep and drink and all? Anyway, I guess this ended in 1922, or it started in 22, or the guy died in 20. I have no idea. But anyway, 68 years having a hiccup, not good. Also on this date, Miranda rights. That was handed down. It was a Supreme Court decision, 1966, that the folks that are suspects, they are read their rights. They need to be read their rights. And here's kind of a fun one, I guess, from 1920. I remember reading this years ago. The U.S. Post Office says that no longer will children be allowed to be sent through parcel post mail.
Yeah, you have to use FedEx for kids.
FedEx, yeah. Yeah, but back in the day, you used to, I guess, wrap the kid up and lick a stamp and put it on there and send the kid off to grandma's to, enjoy this.
Put them in a box with a bag of Fritos and.
Isn't that something? I mean, I used to ride airplanes. My folks would put me on airplanes from Rhode Island out to Ohio to see my grandparents. And as a little kid, I used to fly by myself. And I remember sitting in the cockpit at times and, they took care of you and all that. And today you wouldn't dream of doing that. Think about all the issues you could encounter just sending a, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old kid on a journey halfway across the country. Hey, look, I'll get into a quick story here. And this is something that is, it's a tragic story that hopefully will end well, but a good friend of mine out of state, we talk frequently, and we talk, as you might expect, sports, women, news, business, all the stuff that dudes talk about when there are no women around. All right. So basically that's
how to wax your car and really get it to shine.
Yeah. All that stuff. Yeah. We cover all of that. Hadn't heard from the guy in about a week and a half. Called him, and his voice was like this when I called him. And again, long story short, he had been out golfing and in humid weather with his son, adult son.
Yeah.
The club slipped out of his adult son's hand. Was an iron, 6-iron. So it had some weight to it.
Yeah.
And hit my friend just over his left eye, full speed, and fractured skull, broken orbital bones, bleeding on the brain, blood everywhere. Anytime you cut anything on your head, it just bleeds badly. So intensive care for a handful of days, hospital stay for a week or two, just a mess. And I say all that, and you certainly not to, try to engender sympathy or, I'm leaving names out and so forth. But I guess the point is that, somebody who otherwise is fine health. And you see this happen too in cars where somebody, maybe a drunk driver, crosses the center lane and wipes out somebody who's totally sober, obeying the law, minding their own business, and bam, and things can pivot. So I guess the thought here is, as I kind of make this up as I go, is enjoy the ride as best you can. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. And try where you can to be mindful of others, and try to take time to be that encourager and try to say things and do things that if you're no longer able to see them, that you're not going to regret.
Yeah.
You say, man, I wish I had, I coulda, woulda, shoulda. Take the time, make the phone call. I actually had this happen the other day. I had a guy call me out of the blue. Hadn't talked to him in probably 8, 9, 10 months. Just wanted to call me. And, I won't go into detail, but the point is that they took the initiatives without any expectation of anything back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine posted an image of the brake man on a train.
Yeah.
And said, put the brakes on every now and then. You should not bust through life so fast.
Yep.
It's, do everything you can as hard and fast as you can. Why do we want to bust through life and head to death so fast? Put the brakes on every now. Yeah. Yep. So, hope your buddy gets better, man. That's tough.
Yeah. It's he's pushing almost 70. So, the body doesn't heal as quickly as we age, as I'm all too well aware. Great guest coming up, by the way. An old friend of mine. He actually recruited my son into the military when Shane Wilson, he was a Marine recruiter back in the day and transitioned from the military into recruiting in the corporate world. And so he'll talk about the transition pros and cons and hurdles of making the move from military to civilian life. And also, I mean, let's face it. If you're a recruiter today, I mean, you are busy. Because where do we find the good people? How do we keep them, and all of those things? So we'll talk the crazy world of recruiting and also tie in the military component as well with Shane Wilson. It'll come up on Wednesday, the 15th, 11:55 a.m. Hope you'll be able to join us. And I'll do a really kind of a quick tip, I guess, but a tip that seems to come up all too often when I'm talking with clients. And I'm sure you run into the same thing too. Yeah. Nothing's perfect, right? It just isn't. And I use the phrase a lot of times, hit the putt. You ever go golf? And tie it back into my friend in Missouri.
Yeah.
When you go golfing, you ever play golf with a guy and they wiggle the club for 30 seconds. They throw the grass in the air and check the wind, or they're on the green and they get down on their knees and they eye it up and you're like, come on, dude. And they hit it 8 feet past the hole. You know, I mean, it just happens. And what I tell people with a resume is a good example. Hit the putt, do the best you can, but you'll never get a perfect resume that everybody can agree is perfect. And even if you do, but then you turn around and apply for a different sort of job, you're still going to have to tweak the resume. It just don't be paralyzed to indecision for fear of making a mistake.
Yep.
I had to write that that ought to be on some kind of a book cover or something like that, Teddy. I don't know. Hit the putt, dadgummit. And you know what? Same thing with taking a job. You do the best homework you can do. You trust your gut. You go for it. And even if it doesn't ultimately work out the way you'd hoped, you learn something.
Yep.
And you move on. And so hit the putt. Hit the putt, whether it's in golf or life. Don't be afraid to fail. Make mistakes and learn from them.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. All right, here's my story. I was talking to a guy this morning, Randy, and he wants to write a book. And so I asked him this question. I said, "Do you know anybody who's already written a book?"
Yeah.
Because I know a bunch of authors. I said, "But do you know them?" I said, "You need to meet people who are 2 laps ahead of you in the journey." And then I said, "Do you know anybody who is writing a book?" He goes, "No." I said, "You need to meet people who are writing a book." I said, "You need to meet people who are on the same journey you're on the same lap." Then I asked him this question: "Do you know anybody who would like to write a book or is thinking about writing a book?" He goes, "No." I said, "You need to meet those people. You need to meet people who are 2 or 3 laps behind you in the journey. When you meet people who are laps ahead of you on the same lap, maybe you laps behind you, you get to discover ideas you've never discovered." So meet people who are on the same journey as you're on. That was a fun conversation because he said, "Would you say that again?" I'm like, so I had to write it down. It's like, I write it down. Right. So, but it was a great conversation. Now, in the same context, Randy, here's my tip. Stay focused to your goals. I got to remind myself that I should change my white message out behind me. Other than that was important too. Stay focused on your goals. You and I have talked about that. I got distracted with other ideas and I got distracted with, other projects, and I lost track of being focused on growing my business. And what I discovered is when I got back to being focused and doing the things that I know I need to do, the phone started to ring. The emails started to come in. The opportunities started happening.
You mean that phone behind you? That phone behind you right there? That phone started to ring?
No, that actually is the secret phone, Randy. Only some people know that phone number.
Oh,
that wasn't the phone. I mean, it was this phone, my business phone. That's the phone that started ringing.
Perfect. I love it. Yeah.
So, but you got to stay focused. If you don't stay focused, if you lose focus, it's not going to happen. Nope. Stay focused to your goals. So, all right, buddy. Wednesday, Shane Wilson.
Yep. Shane is in recruiting with a very fast growing company. I'm not going to mention the company, but he's able to work remotely and he does travel, but there are opportunities out there. If you are interested in recruiting, I'm sure he'll be able to fill you in a little bit on how you might want to crack into that type of role. But we're going to learn a lot from Shane. He's a good guy. I've known him for many years now, and excited to have him on. He's helped us at our professional center with mock interviews and some other projects. So he's always willing to give back, and we look forward to having him on Wednesday.
Here's a question for you, Randy.
Yeah.
I know you and I are a little different. How many times you had your Miranda rights read to you?
I refuse to answer on the grounds that it might incriminate me.
You and me both, buddy. I'll see you Wednesday, man.
I'll see you later. All right.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Yeah.